What's up, Lions fans? I hope you're all having a splendid day. Before I get into the video, I want to thank Luke G's Field Review for live streaming with me yesterday. It was a lot of fun, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. It was a real good time. In this video, I am going to try to predict where the Lions offensive players will finish in the stat sheet for this year. To do it, I looked at players' past production and kind of projected it on how it'll go over this season. And I also am counting on seeing some players produce above what they've produced in their careers. Like Jesse James, I expect his production to go up this year. But, yeah, here are my Lions offensive predictions for their stats.
So I have Kenny Golladay leading the team in targets, which probably isn't much of a surprise. And I also have him leading the team in yards and receptions. And I got Marvin Jones leading the team in touchdowns. I have our tight ends going off for 500 yards apiece and 10 touchdowns between the two. And all this production adds up to 368 completions for 552 attempts for 4,419 yards, 8 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions for Stafford. Now, the 8 yards per attempt could be a little bold since Stafford has never done that in his career. However, this running game can get going. Stafford can average 8 yards per attempt. I'm not going to guarantee that he'll do it, but it's very doable if we can get this running game going. That's what it all boils down to. Now, Danny Amdendola, that's about where he's at for his career, 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to blow anybody away with his production. I think Jesse James will have a career high across the board in his production. Now, TJ Hockenson might sound a little low for some of you, but I don't interpret that as me thinking he's not going to be an impact player pretty much off the bat, because that's exactly what I expect out of TJ Hockenson. And then the running backs, they'll produce 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then whatever other player, like whether it be Powell or Andy Jones, I think they'll give us 180 yards and a touchdown. And yeah, those are my passing and receiving stats. So I got Kerryon Johnson as the team's leading rusher, which I find it hard to believe that's going to be much of a surprise to anybody. And I got him going for 260 rushes for 1,160 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, and 9 rushing touchdowns. Now, that might sound low to some people because Kerryon Johnson averaged over 5 yards per carry before he went out with injury. But that's a hard number to sustain, and I wouldn't be mad at him if he didn't manage to sustain it. But 4.5 yards per carry is still really solid, and 1,160 rushing yards will still probably rank him in the top 10 in rushing. Then you got CJ Anderson, 106 rushes, 445 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. And I think Stafford will scramble a couple times, get himself a touchdown. Then other rushers, whether it be Zenner or Ty Johnson, you get 65 rushes, 235 yards, 3.6 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. Then that adds up to an overall rushing offense of 458 rushes, 1,930 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, and 17 rushing touchdowns. Now, for the overall offensive production, I have the Lions running 1,040 plays and amassing 6,169 yards, and that includes lost yards to sacks for 5.9 yards per play average, and 47 total touchdowns and 18 turnovers committed. A fumble here and there. But, yeah, I expect this offense to be cooking this year. I mean, again, it all depends on what you can do with this running game. That's what it all boils down to. Run the ball, you have a cooking offense. To end this video, I will leave you on the screen who I believe will be the Lions' offensive Pro Bowlers. Now, some of you might be wondering, where's Frank Ragnow or where's Kenny Golladay? The problem with Kenny Golladay is there's too many receivers. There's just too many receivers that get over 1,000 yards. So he might get snubbed. Or Frank Ragnow, like, some offensive linemen don't make the Pro Bowl until a long time. Frank Ragnow might be one of them. Like, he might not be a Pro Bowler until next year. That doesn't mean I think he's going to be bad. It just It just means there's only so many roster spots, you know? Matthew Stafford's been snubbed a bunch, but if he does as good as I expect him to do, then it's almost impossible to snub him off the Pro Bowl list. Like, if he doesn't make the Pro Bowl with that kind of production, then it's BS. That would be complete BS. That would be a heist on his part. Yeah, do you guys agree or disagree with how I have these guys finishing out the season? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you all again for tuning into the live stream. Thank you to Luke G for being part of the live stream. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed.